Okay, so my favorite show to cringe watch is back on Amazon this summer. I Turned Pretty, and it's off to a good start. It's making me feel bad for everyone involved in this situation. There's so many things that is going wrong at one time. It's like a train wreck, and you're just watching each rail car just become destroyed as this catastrophe is happening. The fourth episode comes out. Well, the fourth episode came out today, so I haven't watched that yet because I kind of wanted to go over 1 through 3. Let's start with episode 1, which is titled Last Season. So it seems like all the episodes are going to be last something because the second one is like Last Christmas. I don't know, remember episode 3's name, it's Last Something. So, episode 1, Last Season. Okay, so with episode 1, Last Season, we see Belly and Taylor show up to college. They are ready to go. The family's there. They're settling in. It's obvious that, Jeremiah and Belly are still going strong. And there's something going on with Taylor and Steven, as there always is, but we don't know what's going on. They don't even know what's going on. No one knows what's happening. Not them, not anyone. So I don't know. After everything gets settled in, we get a time jump. I would say it is 3 years ahead because Jeremiah is now a senior. Belly is a junior in college. And, Jeremiah just found out that he is not going to graduate and that he is now going to be what everyone is saying, a super senior. He's going to have to take one more semester of classes because he did not see an email that showed that he needed extra credits to be able to graduate. At the same time that this is happening, Belly finds out that she got off of a wait list to study abroad in Paris, which is an amazing opportunity. We see that, Jeremiah lets his news off first, so she feels that it's best to just keep this knowledge to herself about being able to study abroad in Paris for a little while. Not saying that she coddles him or, things like that, but she's very much walking around on eggshells whenever she's around him and keeping his emotions and things in consideration, even when, there's things going on in her life that she feels like she wants to express to her boyfriend, which she should be able to. On Taylor's end, she is a sorority girl and she's sleeping with Steven. Her and Steven both have partners. They are both in relationships and they are fooling around with each other, hooking up on and off for the last 3 years, I guess is what the whole thing is. Like the way everything is shot and the way everything is acted, it's very obvious that they both have feelings for each other, but maybe Taylor is just a little less willing to be emotionally involved because as we find out later, she's afraid of getting hurt and she's afraid of things just going bad. And Steven is a little bit more able to express himself and he tries to do things as they're hooking up that some things that are reserved for a boyfriend to do, sleeping over, staying over, seeing each other more often, to which she, as in Taylor, is not incredibly comfortable with. And there's like a lot of discourse about Taylor being a horrible friend and given everything that happens, why she doesn't really give Belly sound advice, good advice. But Taylor doesn't really have her life together either. She'd be the last person that I'd want to get advice from. Like her and Belly, they are just making the same mistakes over and over again. And then whenever they need to confide in each other, they're both giving each other horrible advice. I couldn't be Belly's friend. I really couldn't. I couldn't give advice and then see her make these crazy mistakes that we see. So it's pretty obvious that Jeremiah is more like his father. And we can see that, his father is just not excited that he has to kick out another 20 grand. to pay for another semester for his super senior, Jeremiah. The thing that upset me most about this episode is the fact that Belly got off the wait list to study abroad in Paris. And she is considering not going.
What?
Because her boyfriend now has to do another semester of college. Okay. Yeah. The thing that's so crazy is that everyone's not putting that energy towards Jeremiah either, because he just makes it seem like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna be here one more semester. I'm gonna be here with you. And I'm like, that Belly, he knows that Belly has plans for her life. He knows about Paris. He doesn't know that she got off the wait list, but he knows that there's certain things in motion for her life. And yet he's getting so excited at the possibility of them just being together another semester. Now, going to Conrad, he is at Stanford and he is in therapy. We love to see it. We love to see someone in therapy. But one thing that we notice is that he isn't really emotionally engaging in certain aspects of his life, whether it be seeing his brother and seeing his family and talking about Susanna's dedication. Like, as he goes into it, you can also see, like, during his therapy session that he's still not comfortable talking completely about what he's feeling emotionally. So yeah, we get it, he's in therapy, which is fantastic, but you could still see that he has a little bit left to go, and he needs to be completely honest about his feelings, which he had a problem with before, but at least he's working on it. And there's a possibility of him working at a clinic. And with that being said, he tries to see if he can, like, get out of the memorial dedication to Susanna, which honestly I feel like would have been a good move, even though, yes, it's a dedication to his mom, but granted, he's going to be there with his brother, his ex-girlfriend, who he's still in love with, who he admits to still loving and always have loved. I don't see all of that ending well. And if you've seen the end of episode 3, you kind of understand. Like, I honestly just wish he did not go, that he was not there. The ending of episode 1 of season 3, we find out that Jeremiah slept with someone on the Cabo trip. And it started that whole we were on a break situation. If you and your partner get into an argument, because we see the argument in episode 2, and I guess I'll dive into that a little bit more as to, like, what really happened and if they were really on a break or not, and what being on a break really even means, to be honest. And if after the fact, should he have been honest about sleeping with Lacey during spring break. So just to kind of summarize episode 1, we have themes of forgiveness, guilt, we have affairs going on, we have topics of cheating, we have growth, therapy, and just overall emotional engagement, and how the characters are emotionally engaging with each other and emotionally engaging in situations personally. Episode 2. This episode is incredibly loaded. The episode opens with Belly just sulking about the whole situation and kind of thinking back to what had happened between her not finding out about the Cabo trip to even begin with, to now realizing that during that Cabo trip, he did sleep with Lacey twice. Okay. And Taylor's a little bit on the outside because Lacey is a part of the sorority that Taylor's in. So, as Taylor said, it's like she's guilty by association. We learn that the fight that led to them being on a break or broken up, that Belly was doing something over spring break that didn't involve Jeremiah. And Jeremiah ended up booking a trip to go to Cabo. Now, Belly finds out about the Cabo trip and she's obviously upset because he didn't tell her anything about the trip. And he knows that it's, a guy's trip and that there will be other girls there. The whole situation just throws Belly off and they have an argument. And during the argument, there's specific things said, and I feel like it could kind of play into it because a lot of people say that Jeremiah cheated. Now, Jeremiah did believe that they were broken up. I did watch the scene. And as someone who is very neutral when it comes to Team Conrad, Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah, I have to say that I'm confused about the whole we're on a break situation. I feel like once certain words are said, we're breaking up, so that's it, we're done, which is a lot of the dialogue that happened during that scene. So that's it, I guess we're done. And I guess we're done, and you both agree that you're done. I like to think that you guys are broken up. I understand that Belly was like, oh, that didn't mean anything to me, but the words were said. Now, that doesn't mean I'm completely letting Jeremiah off the hook, because if you were so in love with Belly and you were so devastated about breaking up, why did you then sleep with someone else twice and then come back and not say anything? Jeremiah decided to withhold the truth from Belly. Did I think he was wrong? Yes, because it hadn't even been a whole week and he was already sleeping with someone else. And on top of that, it's someone that goes to the exact same school, is in the same sorority. Like, this girl that he chose to sleep with is a little bit too close to home for him not to say anything, because you have a situation like how she found out. She was at a party and Lacey was just gossiping and just saying, man, wow, I'm so jealous, you got to hook up with Jeremiah over spring break. Things like this. Now, had Belly had known, she probably would have just, told Lacey off, told the friend off. But, Jeremiah was not honest. And, things like this ended up happening. A lot of people were like, oh, how could Belly forgive Jeremiah so fast? Because by the end of the episode, she does end up forgiving Jeremiah. And I can understand why she forgave him. I do not understand why she said yes to the proposal. We need to check in on Taylor and Steven, who are still going through this loop-de-loop, roundabout, doop-de-doop on whatever their relationship is. Taylor says it's one thing, Steven says it's another, but he feels like it could be more. And this eventually leads to them having a strain. They end up getting into an argument, which results in Steven being in a terrible car accident. Even though Conrad is in another part of the country and he's away from everything, he is still involved, as he's able to get his preceptor at the clinic to put in a good word over at the hospital where Steven is, so that he can receive better care, which is honestly amazing on his part that he was able to do that. Because in a way, I feel like not only because he's a great person and Steven is his friend, I feel like he really just wanted to be close to Belly. It was almost as much for Belly as it was for Steven, as a way of just being there in that moment, which I thought was pretty sweet. It was very nice. After Steven wakes up, he says that, maybe she's right, that this isn't going to work, the back and forth between Steven and Taylor and their so-called on and off relationship. On Belly's end, forgiving Jeremiah, I get. Now, did I think that she forgave him too fast? Yes, I did. I did feel like eventually she needed to forgive him. But do I think that she should have accepted his proposal? No. She's in an emotionally vulnerable state at this time because of what happened with Steven. And just emotionally seeing how things are going with Steven and Taylor, she was in no mental capacity to accept this man's proposal. And Jeremiah is so full of crap because he should have never even broached the subject, because honestly, it felt like a desperate attempt to get her to say yes, that she'll still be with him, because Belly was going to forgive him regardless if he proposed or not. I just feel like he really manipulated that moment and said, you know what, it's either now or never. And he proposed to her. And I'm still incredibly upset about that. I don't know. I find that incredibly fishy and very manipulative, but that's just me. But then again, he's been manipulative their whole relationship, from what it sounds like, because he's playing the child and, Belly's playing Susanna. She's like a fill-in for him. I was so enthralled in the whole betrayal to engagement pipeline that I just forgot to mention a few things, like with Conrad. His story didn't take up a lot of space this episode, given everything else I could understand. Two things I forgot to mention. He also got fired from the clinic not too long after that because of a clinical, like a medical error. He mislabeled a test tube, which can be very dangerous in that situation. The other thing that I forgot to mention was, while Belly was sulking about, this devastating revelation involving Jeremiah and the Cabo trip, she kind of discloses to us that she has been keeping a secret as well. While she was in Cousins, Conrad pulled up and they spent some time together, although they did not physically cheat or anything like that. They had a moment in each other's company, which she felt bad about. I hate to think that was one of the reasons why she forgave him, because she was like, well, I kind of did something bad too. I didn't understand how she took that situation with Conrad, held it up to Jeremiah lying about the Lacey Cabo situation. I don't like how she kind of looked at those two things and was like, well, we all make mistakes. Oh yeah, and then we also found out that Belly and Steven's parents are sleeping together. So during this episode, there's still those themes of betrayal, guilt, forgiveness. Honestly, everyone was a little bit more in tune with their emotions, but they were a little bit avoidant, especially on Taylor's end, of her feelings, like for Steven. And Belly's feelings really on that Christmas with Conrad that she did not tell Jeremiah about. So episode 3 of season 3 starts off with Steven back at home. He's recovering. Tensions are a little bit high. Everyone's back at home. Taylor's home with her mom. Steven and Belly are back home. And this is before that disastrous dinner. Steven is really just avoiding Taylor at this point, and Taylor is trying to kind of get things back on that friend type of level, which Steven just really isn't here for. He's broken up with his girlfriend. I think her name was Mia or Maya. Taylor, to my knowledge, is still with her boyfriend, even after everything that had happened, and she realized that she really does like Steven. I think they're still together. I don't recall them like breaking up at any point. Belly and Jeremiah are still very much getting on my nerves because they want to take this event and make it about themselves. That's one thing honestly, I feel like Jeremiah and Belly belong together at this point because they both have a lot of those selfish kind of qualities. They have a hard time reading the room and realizing when things are just not good in that moment, because they want to announce their engagement after the memorial. Like, I really feel like there should be a time and place, and that was not the right time or place. The beginning of this episode, I was hoping and praying that Conrad just found some excuse to not go, because I already feel like this is going to be incredibly horrible. Imagine you get yourself emotionally ready and hyped up to go to a dedication, like a memorial service for your mom. And in your grief, in your trying to separate the fact that your brother and your ex-girlfriend, who are madly in love, are here, you find out that they are to be engaged. Like, I'm hoping Conrad does not go. Like, the beginning of the episode starts and I'm like, please do not go. Some key moments that happen during this episode: Steven finds out about Taylor's mom's financial situation, because her mom tries to meddle in their affairs and gets Steven to look at her books for the salon that she owns to see if everything's okay and to communicate with Taylor if there's anything wrong, trying to create a line of communication between the two. Come to find out, the salon is going to hell. She is broke and she's about to lose everything, which, causes a very serious discussion between Taylor and her mom about what they're going to do about their future. Someone said Jeremiah is now like $20,005 in debt. Which I'm like, that is definitely not true. The ring is definitely not $5. It's $3 because that was the price of the Cracker Jack box that it was found in. I know they say that rings aren't that important, but if you like think like your belly, right? Sorry. Think like your belly. You cheated on me twice in Cabo with some girl who's on our campus just walking around that I have to see every day. And you proposed to me after I'm just emotionally distraught after my brother gets into an accident. And you pop up with a Cracker Jack box ring. I'd be hot. I'd be fuming. I'd be flaming. You couldn't tell me what to do. I would crash out. We get to the dedication, and to everyone's knowledge, they don't think that Conrad is going to be there because he said he wasn't. Turns out Conrad is there. Jeremiah gives his beautiful little speech about his mother. Shout out to Susanna. And they end up going to like this restaurant. Mr. Fisher starts to clock Jeremiah's tea. I feel like he secretly, well, he is Team Conrad. Let's be real, but I feel like he just it's really projection at its finest, and it's almost like self-hate because Jeremiah is so much like him, and Conrad is so much like Susanna, to the point where it's like every time Jeremiah does something wrong, he really has to point it out. And the super senior line was hilarious and it was funny. Everyone's talking about everyone else's accomplishment, and this prompts Belly to save up for the moment to defend her fiance Jeremiah by revealing that they are engaged to be married, and they're getting married in August, which is basically right around the corner because it's like the start of summer. The look on Conrad's face during that whole dinner is just so depressing. It's so sad. I don't even understand why he had to be there. I don't know why he was there. I know in that moment he regretted even being there. And then obviously everyone else is upset to the point where they start like accusing Jeremiah, like, what did you do? Is she pregnant? Like, what happened? Why do you guys want to get married? And why do you guys want to get married so fast? I don't think any of them can handle knowing what Jeremiah did beforehand that prompted this engagement. And to be completely honest, I'd be hot too. Oh yeah, and she ends up telling Jeremiah about Paris. The end of this episode is by far the saddest thing that I've ever seen. Belly and Jeremiah, again, like I said before, they have like this selfish way of thinking. Even though they mean very well, they really don't read the room. They don't read other people. Like they really, like they're considerate to an extent. Because why would Belly feel to kind of uproot this whole moment by announcing this engagement? And after that whole situation happened and Laurel's like, no, we're leaving. That's it. You're coming home and that's it. It's done. Like they're outside and they're hugging and it's like Steven said, read the room. What? Like you should be feeling some type of way right now. And then the thing that kind of bothers me a little bit is that I'm not even sure if they addressed, well, I know Belly and Jeremiah did not address Conrad. And I'm not sure if Laurel or Steven addressed Conrad at all. And just watching Conrad watch them drive away after all of this time, that they hadn't seen each other, and the revelation of their engagement. Oh, I felt so bad for him. I wanted to hug him. I really did. That was such a way to end that episode. Oh, so bad. Episode 4 is out right now, and I haven't seen it. And what I expect from episode 4, I don't want to jump. I don't want to another like time jump, like, oh, maybe it's like a couple weeks later. No, no, no. We need to figure out what's going on with Conrad. I want to see Conrad. I want to see how he's processing this information. I want to see how he is handling this emotionally. I need Belly to stand up and really, because between the whole, he got me my own, it was like a little ant right there. Between all of that, I'm so disappointed in her. I really am. She really thought that this whole thing was going to be well received. I want to see Conrad. I want to see him make a nice emergency call to his therapist because he needs to have a conversation. I need someone in his corner because it seems like he's very much alone. He's processing all of this by himself, which he's been doing a lot lately. I need Steven to light into her like he did in season 2 when he was like, yo, what you mean you bouncing between brothers? Like, I need him to light into her because he was low-key right. So I'm gonna watch it right now. I'm getting it set up and I'm gonna watch it, and then I'm gonna come here and then we're gonna talk about it, and then let's see what happens. I finished episode 4 of season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty. And if I entered the episode confused and frustrated, I left it completely. I am furious. I am Laurel at this current moment. Nah, because this is crazy. So the episode starts off on Belly's birthday. So there has been a 2-week jump. And obviously, they're trying to make this wedding happen. Like Gretchen tried to make fetch happen and it is not working. I made notes as I was watching this episode because I was trying to contain myself. Everything that I felt that I needed to add to the notes, I added it. I'm just going to go over them. So we already got the 2-week time jump out of the way. I put that I hate that they're still talking about this wedding. I hate that they're trying to still make this wedding happen. And I just don't like that they're not taking the hint that this might be a little bit too premature. But, you know, in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, at least Belly's going to have Paris and she's going to kind of discover who she is. I kind of hope that they hold off the wedding until she comes back from Paris, you know, have like a little moment of clarity. If you've seen the episode, you know what happens. Anyway, the next thing that I noted was that Steven made me so mad. Steven heard that he was going to be the best man and started shaking. He was so excited after he just said that this is not a good idea. Yeah, but then as soon as Jeremiah was like, oh, you could be best man, he was like, oh my God, let's be best man.
Oh my God, bro.
Steven, please stand up. And then Jeremiah had the nerve out his mouth to say that he's going to be a co-best man with Conrad of all people. I feel like Jeremiah is doing that as the icing on the cake. I'm so disappointed in everyone so far. Belly, that day on her birthday, ends up she wants to go dress shopping and goes to a place called Prom Promises, which in my opinion is so funny and so ironic because allegedly they don't even end together. And to be honest, between the ring and everything that he said, it's like a prom promise. It's so proper for the situation that they're going through and how fast that they're rushing, how immature they're being so far in this situation. And like I said before about how Belly and Jeremiah choose the wrong times to do things, like Jeremiah proposing after Steven's accident, Belly announcing their engagement at the dinner after the dedication, and now Jeremiah comes over on Belly's birthday, and instead of just leaving the wedding talk out of it, Instead of saying, "Oh, happy birthday," he could have gave her the flowers. "Here you go. This is for you. Good. I came for Belly's birthday. Let's leave it at that. This day's about Belly." He goes into explanation about the wedding and how much he's in love with her, thinking that everything's just going to go smoothly. Again, delusional. They're not thinking. They cannot read the room. And then this obviously does not go well. Belly and Laurel end up having an argument. Belly leaves the house. They essentially go to cousins to stay in the beach house. And Conrad is there, hiding out, poor thing. And here's Belly. Oh, Belly's here. Cool. Really reminiscent of Christmas, right? And then up pops Jeremiah. And he's like, oh my gosh. I don't like that the whole time they're there, they're both like kids, like children going in on Conrad. After Conrad and Jer go out surfboarding and they have a conversation about Conrad being Jer's best man, and Conrad puts his 2 cents in, which he hadn't at the time. He should be granted his 2 cents, and he says that it's ridiculous. They spend the next like 5 minutes literally mocking him, mocking Conrad, saying that the whole idea was ridiculous. And they had the nerve to be like, oh, what's his problem? Girl, that is your ex-man. That was the first man that you've ever been with, that you've ever been in love with. And you're really like, what's his problem? Why is he being so weird about this? When you want to get married so young up out of nowhere? This episode really got me fired up because there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Let's refer to the notes. I wrote some notes. The only thing that I agree with this episode was the Oreo cookie cake. I like that. That's the only thing that Jeremiah's done very well so far in this season. The worst thing of all, me thinking that Belly is going to, if I was Laurel, I would have really just said, you know what, go to Paris, come back, and let's see how you feel. Because she could very well go to Paris, have this moment of self discovery, and then change her mind, or maybe it might push her towards Jeremiah more. Who knows? But the fact that she is now not going to Paris because of Jeremiah, and then Jeremiah has the nerve to open up his mouth and say what he said, I understand where Laurel's coming from. And honestly, this whole episode just proves that Laurel was right. They're both incredibly immature, even all the way down to them mocking Conrad in like a childlike manner. When you're about to marry someone, everyone should somewhat be on board. There should be some people in your corner, not because, oh, they're the best man, or, oh, they happen to be family, so they have to fall in line. The things that Belly is going through, she should not be feeling like that. Everyone should be okay with the concept of you getting engaged or married or however. And the fact that Conrad felt so bad watching Belly be sad that he decides to stay and decides to be Jeremiah's best man it's really upsetting for me, because you know what, I am team Conrad, not for Belly, but just for him himself. I feel like he's been through so much, and not even involving Belly, because from season 1 he's been going through stuff when it comes to holding in a secret that his mother is sick and that she's dying, all the way to dealing with Belly and dealing with Jeremiah and then dealing with the betrayal of a brother, and going through all of this grief because his mom died, all for y'all to be really playing in his face. If I was him, I would have been right on that plane, going right back to Stanford, calling up Agnes. Listen, Agnes, we getting drinks, and then started my new job on Monday. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy, and this is ridiculous. This episode was ridiculous. I don't even know where they could go from this. I mean, I do kind of feel like I know where they're gonna go, Belly and Conrad are definitely going to get up to some stuff. I love that Jeremiah is so confident in himself and so secure in himself to not be concerned that Belly is at home with Conrad. But I think that just goes to show how much he trusts Belly and how Belly would never do something like that. I can't wait for somebody to spill the beans that Jeremiah actually cheated and, you know, he slept with someone else. I just want someone to expose it. I want someone to say something. Call me whatever you want. You know, Team Jeremiah, you could come for me. And I don't stepping away from Belly, Conrad, and that situation, Taylor's mom is going through some troubles. And, you know, it turns out that her boyfriend, Scott, you know, she's in debt, like 10 grand deep in debt. I guess we have to see what happens in the next episode next week, but I'm furious. I'm like highly upset. This was an upsetting episode. I was screaming the whole time. The show went on an ad and I had to pause the ad. Like, I mean, I had to pause and just really sit and collect myself. And then I looked at the time and then we still had like 30 minutes left. I was like, oh my gosh, no, it's torture. No, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna wait until like a few episodes come out and then make another video because I really need to process what just happened. I don't like what just happened. Now Conrad's involved in all this stuff. He doesn't need this. He really doesn't need it. I'm sorry. But I guess until next time, I'm like sinking. I can't. This is too much. I can't.